Welcome back to Grumpy Science. You may not be happy that you're here this time because this is an extra special Grumpy. So this is a parental warning here, okay? Extra grumpiness this time because we're going to be talking about...
Well, some regulatory stuff. I mean, we have bumps in the road in the path to scientific knowledge every once in a while.
Yeah, the speed bumps in the otherwise clear and straight road of science.
Yeah, because we never have problems with just the science or just the technology.
Science is simple. It's getting the opportunity to actually do the science.
Yeah, I think we've had to spend sometimes a really long time getting a dangerous study approved. Can you demonstrate our dangerous equipment?
Oh, here we go.
Talking about
this one, yeah.
This is our dangerous equipment.
For the love of God, kids, don't use one of these at home.
So right now we're going through the process. One of my colleagues is. I have to say that they are doing a tremendous job going through the process of getting institutional administrative approval to do this study, better known as IRB, Institutional Review Board. Apparently, there's one person who's on the warpath to declare the brain gauge as really, really dangerous, and it's she's had to go through 120 revisions. This is a
scientific
record.
Colleague,
120 revisions on this application.
Revise 120 times.
One of those revisions was that the word health protection. She wrote health protections instead of protection. In other words, and so they went through. Each time it went in, they found new typos, new misspellings.
Oh, a typo, the smallest thing. This is like some kind of nightmare from the Eastern Bloc, where one of our colleagues once described this process. One of our colleagues who, I think he jumped over a concrete and barbed wire fence at one point to get to freedom from Russia. Really smart person. We're going to try to have him on here, although he's a little bit afraid to say anything.
He's a little bit shy.
He's kind of shy.
He still thinks,
he thinks
back
the
in the day.
KGB's still after him. But the way he described the process of getting approval administratively to do the simplest study, I think he described it as the way that the old Soviet Union worked, where you just simply have to keep grinding and grinding and grinding away. They will find the tiniest little irrelevant error and stop.
Yeah. By the way, those of you about to tune out because we actually do have some science.
Yeah.
We do have some science in a little while, but we got to get this off our chest.
Science coming, but I'm going to try not to spin off into such extreme grumpiness that Mark forbids me to post this, which is, I'm going to admit, truth be told, has happened more than once. So
yeah.
Because.
But anyway, basically we're down to the last revision on this one, and it turns out what the institutional reviewers are really afraid of. They don't like the brain gauge going into people's homes because this is the beginning of crowdsourced science.
Yep.
This is the beginning of the end for their careers because as soon as science is in the hands of people and out of the hands of administrators, well, they've lost their six-figure job.
There's a lot of bureaucrats whose jobs depend upon keeping science where it is. Prohibiting any kind of advance is too dangerous, right? So mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the grumpiest of them all? I think it's me. Mark thinks it's him. But I'm the only one who has done grumpy science versions that have been banned, okay, because they're too grumpy. So I'm going to let Mark continue to talk.
Anyway, one reason I was bringing this up is because I wanted to talk about a study we did a while back. And we had a little regulatory approval problem on that one.
This is all true. This is true. This
really
is
true. We're not making this up. Yeah, but the 120 revisions is a record where each time, you misspelled this word.
She should get a Medal of Freedom.
Yeah.
Simply for having put up with that amount of bureaucratic nonsense.
Yes, if she ever watches this, hats off
to
you.
Whoever the President of the United States is when these go viral, we would like to put forward your colleague for a presidentially initiated Medal of Freedom for overcoming the bureaucracy.
Or Medal of Scientific Freedom.
Medal of Scientific Tenacity.
She actually had more than one doctor go into this person's office and show them MDs going in and saying, this is like a computer mouse.
How is this threatening to anyone?
It's
how
actually
is this dangerous?
Technically, did you know that technically it's actually safer than a computer mouse because it's undergone electrical testing.
Well, that's right.
At no small cost, and it uses medical grade plastics.
Actually, that's true. I was going to say this is compliant with the quality and safety standards that are enforced by the FDA. Is that correct? Yeah. And whereas you go to a online store or something, buy a mouse, they can sell you anything.
No, but the 120 revisions, that really kind of tops my previous low of having to deal with someone who said what's going to happen if they swallow the brain gauge. And
coming to my mind is the literature like Franz Kafka, like The Castle, people walking around the same edifice hundreds of times just trying to penetrate to the center, and of course never making it there. So anyway,
this study that what we did, we proposed, said, let's look at college-age students and figure out who's drinking and who's not, and see if their brain gauge scores are any different. That's basically what we wanted to do. So that,
college-age kids.
So
you may not know this, but some of them drink alcohol.
Here's how we describe the study. We're going to recruit 18 to 22-year-old people off the college campus. We're going to ask them what their drinking behavior is, and we're going to just give them a questionnaire, and we're going to test them. Well, it took about a year to get this approved because
the university does not condone underage drinking.
The university, they basically said, 18 to 20-year-olds do not drink. It's illegal.
Actually, that's what they said. They said they don't drink. It's illegal, so they can't possibly drink.
Therefore, this study is invalid because 18 to 20-year-olds don't drink.
Y'all are testing something that's just not real because children below 21
they're not allowed to drink.
Right.
So we finally got approval and said, no, we're just asking them questions that we won't report to anyone else. Well, anyway, we did the questionnaire, and we finally did do the study, and we actually got some pretty interesting results. So let me give you a little bit of background on alcoholism, and this has nothing to do with alcoholism. I'm not saying any of these subjects were alcoholics. By definition, they were not.
Right.
But alcoholics, so if you look at their cortical metrics or their brain gauge scores, they do very poorly on reaction time. They do very poorly on sensitivity tests, and they do very poorly on adaptation tests. They do very poorly on their accuracy scores. In other words, brain functions after 20 years of drinking, and some of these people drink pretty heavy. I mean, one of the guys in our alcoholic study was, I think he drank 24 beers a day.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean,
while he was driving the FedEx truck, so
that's the problem.
Right. Anyway, we're not going to mention names or anything. But anyway, that was an interesting side note. But we looked at the subjects now that you know all that about alcoholics and all the things that are diminished. Everybody that we tested had a blood alcohol level of 0. Everybody we tested, and what we did was how many drinks per month did you drink, and all their scores were normal. Except for one. Can you guess what that was? It was plasticity. Their plasticity score was not good. So, and that was all the kids that drank more than 60 drinks per month.
So plasticity
had low plasticity. And everybody else, it's kind of graded off, from like 40 drinks per month over. It was much better than 60 drinks per month. But that number really stuck out so it's average of 2 drinks per day, and it
impacts cortical plasticity in young people.
So, one thing a lot of people know that the development is not complete in males at age 21. In some cases, not complete until age 60. But I don't know anybody like that. So
no, I'm not there yet.
I'm still not fully developed.
That's right. But so during these late but important developmental periods, the chronic use of alcohol, there's some indication that it will impact your plasticity.
It does. Now we did not break the scoring up into how they drank. So it was
their whole history of drinking.
Yeah, some of them would get their numbers of drinks in by 15 drinks on a weekend, some 2 drinks every day. So. But basically that was the main thing, and the main thing is that for that age, that's not a great age to be drinking too much.
No. So. Yeah, it turns out that, believe it or not, the drinking age laws are in a sense good for your brain if you follow them, right? Because you shouldn't be drinking when you're that young, and We don't advocate it, but the fact is that people do, and it's a completely valid thing to study. So I guess our points are, who the heck are people to tell us as scientists what's not a valid study when they're not a scientist and they don't know? That happens to us all the time.
Yeah.
Right? They think that reality conforms to certain arbitrary laws, which it does not. So there's a lot of administrative pressure down to not study things, to not do things, because like a small group of people don't want it to happen, or there's some administrators that don't want you to be able to empower the public to figure these things out for themselves. That's what Mark was talking about earlier, right? Which is the key for us is that a lot of what needs to be studied about the human brain is not going to be studied, not in our lifetime, not by the standard system. So what we're trying to do is empower people to get the tools that they need out to the crowd. That's all of us, and both of you viewers. So
sure.
That's at least 4 of us total. And to give people the ability to take the measurements that they need to take, and to collectively, our goal is to collectively generate large amounts of people, voluntary adult, people who want to contribute to this, so that we can start to collect information that will be very, very valuable, directly valuable to real people living real lives, under real conditions, and they have the power to do it in their own, make the measurements in their own home.
And the big thing that jumps up at me from all this is that basically a good crowdsourced science, easy crowdsourced science study would be, fill out this questionnaire on your drinking behavior and take your scores, send them in. And we could have 500 study subjects done right away instead of taking a year to get approval and a year to
and then being allowed to do about 10 subjects a year or something like that.
And then all of a sudden that would be done fairly quickly, probably in the span of a week.
Yeah.
And we'd have to have our answers really quick, and it wouldn't cost
doesn't have to cost anything.
A lot of money.
It really doesn't have to cost anything. There's some economists that say, well, there's an associated cost with everything. Yeah, whatever. What we're saying is we don't have to mooch money off the, federal government. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to have all of these things in place at some large institution that's sucking money indirectly off or directly off the federal government. So what we're suggesting is that if you put power into people's hands, there's some things are dangerous. You don't want to play with them at home, right? But a lot of things are safe. This device, safe or dangerous? Well, there's administrators who want to tell you that this is very dangerous, okay? But what's cool is you can be the judge. You can decide, hey, that computer mouse, that's not going to hurt me. And you can actually do experiments with it, and we're pretty confident that it's not going to hurt you.
Yep.
So anything else you want to say?
Hadn't heard the 10,000 people who've used it so far.
Yeah, we've had 10,000 people using it, and we don't have any injuries yet. Can you say that about, a lot of the stuff that gets done regularly? I'm just not going to list things, so I'll just get angry. But anyway, so anything else, Dr. Tommerdahl?
I think that'll do it.
Okay, you got off early. We didn't make it a full 15 minutes here. We'll talk to you next time.
All right.